Welcome back to Grow Its free training series. I'm Purnima Vijay Shankar, the founder of Femgineer, and today I'm joined with Ritika Puri, who is going to be one of the lead instructors for our upcoming Grow It course. If you haven't watched the previous lesson with Ritika, I highly recommend you check it out and then come back to this one. In today's lesson, we're going to be covering the second mistake that we see a lot of founders make, which is overspending on marketing. So Ritika, you and I have come across a lot of founders who are really eager to spend money on marketing, but you and I know that you actually don't need to spend when you're getting started, right?
Nope, you don't need to.
Yeah.
It's really just a matter of looking at your resources, figuring out where you naturally as a founder or co-founder have distribution and have the potential to get traction. There's really no reason why you necessarily need to spend money on marketing.
Yeah. So what are some examples of channels that our viewers could explore before they decide to spend even their first dollar?
You know, we were actually working with an early stage founder a couple months ago who were investing in PPC.
What's PPC?
Pay-per-click advertising.
Yeah.
So AdWords, Facebook. They were investing, I don't even know, just on all kinds of campaigns, but it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And when they took a step back to think, okay, you know, let's try to do this from the ground up. This was actually a funded startup, have a lot of resources, have great partners, but they realized, okay, let's start a friends and family list and see how that goes. And it was from there that they were able to generate word of mouth, to start sharing some of the content that they were publishing and to get a little bit of traction.
That's awesome. So they just basically used referral networks to attract more customers.
Yeah. And you know, it sounds pretty old school. It's very traditionalist marketing, so to speak. And I think that that's where a lot of founders get confused, seeing all of these channels out there. And if you read up on marketing, you'll instantly see all these tactics and be overloaded with tons and tons of options to try. But really, at the end of the day, marketing's just about human relationships and communities.
Yeah. So are there other things that our viewers could do to get started with if they had no budget?
Yeah. So building an email list, content marketing, sharing your experiences on your own blog with your network. You can also contribute guest posts to industry blogs or places where your target customers are hanging out.
Awesome. So now let's say we've got a little bit of capital. Maybe we are bootstrapping or we just happen to get some funding. So we've got some capital now. And as we mentioned before, founders are notorious for overspending, right? So how can we avoid overspending?
So the first thing, know why founders tend to overspend. It's because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's because it's tempting. Because you can literally go on Facebook, set any budget you want, hit a button, and go.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of self-discipline to take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to run a small, focused experiment. I'm going to spend very little. I'm going to learn, and then I'm going to grow my marketing campaigns.
And what's very little?
Very little. You can gather insights in a couple $100.
Oh, great.
So it really, let me take a step back and say that it'll really depend on who you're trying to reach, what the targeting parameters are, what the price points are on that particular network. But you should be able to cap budgets at maybe, $100, $200, see what's happening, and then grow your campaigns with that insight.
Yeah. So I've come across stories where people have spent tens of thousands of dollars and not seen any results. Do you have any examples like that you can share with our viewers?
Oh, myself.
Yeah.
So I was working with a startup a couple years ago, and by the time that they had come to me, they had already spent tens of thousands of dollars on PPC advertising that just wasn't working for them. Not sure why, didn't have any insight into what was going on, but really they should have stopped spending early and said, this isn't working. Let's change something. Let's try something else before we let the fire hose run.
Yeah. And what would be early in that case?
In this case, they probably should have stopped at maybe $200.
Oh, again, that early.
$200,
Yeah.
$500, $1,000. It's really about setting checkpoints, see what's going on, and then course correcting.
Yeah. And let's talk about the various checkpoints that our viewers would want to set if they decide to do any sort of paid campaign.
Yeah, so the first thing that you're going to want to look at is you're going to want to look at, one, are people following through with your marketing? Are they coming to your website? And if they do come to your website, what are they doing? What pages are they browsing? So step one, are they clicking on your ad? Are they clicking on your marketing? If no, maybe there's something wrong with the messaging. And at that point, you want to go talk to your prospective customers to find out why. Maybe you're marketing to the completely wrong customer base. The point is that at every step, you want to take a step back, understand why you're seeing the trends that you're seeing.
Okay, so then step 2, let's assume they've clicked, they're on our website. What's the next thing we want to measure?
Yeah, and here it's really a question of your value proposition. Are people getting the information that they want? Are people finding the resources? Are they converting into trial or paid customers? And this is the point where, again, you want to do some research if you're not seeing the outcome if you want. And there are tools available to help you with that.
Yeah, do you have a couple example tools that you recommend?
So one example, usertesting.com.
Okay.
You can actually get a screen grab of people walking through your site, talking through their experience. And at that point, you can say, okay, maybe my message isn't coming across clearly to this audience.
Is there anything else that founders should be doing?
Repeat the process, repetition. You're never going to feel like your campaign has plateaued. And even if it does, you're going to want to keep making tweaks, keep making improvements, keep running tests. And it's really about growing through a series of small, calculated, focused steps.
Okay. Now, I know a lot of founders fall into another mistake, which is overly tweaking and not letting things kind of bake for a while. So in your recommendation, how long should they test these campaigns for before they decide to tweak or iterate?
Yeah, so when you ask this question, a very popular marketing expression comes to mind, which is fail fast. So by failure, it means reach a conclusion. So take a step back, assess in a couple days, in 2 weeks, in a month. And if you're not seeing traction at these 3 stages, then it's time to give it a rest, go back to the drawing board, and come up with something else.
Got it. Great. And I like what you said about the messaging, because I think a lot of times people feel like it's just the channel, but it could also be the way that you're crafting your value proposition and not just the channel as well.
Oh yeah. Another thing that marketers like to say is that it's all about reaching your audience with the right message at the right time, at the right moment of their buying journeys. So there are a lot of intricacies that you need to consider when planning a campaign, especially given that people are using like 6 different devices. People don't have continuous experiences. So you need to keep all of these variables in mind when you're planning a campaign.
Great. Well, now Ritika and I have a challenge for all you viewers out there today. We'd like to know how you're thinking about your marketing. What are some channels you're thinking about that could be free or organic? And how are you thinking about your marketing for paid? What are some channels that you'd like to explore? Let us know in the comments below this video and we'll be sure to respond to you. That's it for this lesson. Tune in next time.